What's up? It's Simfro from MediCheck Pull, and I wanted to give a quick update on the Mythic Plus loot item level bullshit that's been floating around. Some quick context is this season, since there's no Titanforging or Warforging, we'll be getting less loot at the end of each dungeon run. What some people are worried about is the item level of the best end of dungeon loot being less than the starting eye level of the heroic loot. That's the context. We go into that a bunch more and give our feedback on it in the RCP podcast number 16, linked in the description below, along with some other links. Okay, I'm going to read the post directly so you get the full context, and then I'll give some thoughts at the end. All right, here we go. So this is coming from KVax, one of the community managers at Blizzard. I'd like to take a step back on this subject and look at the bigger picture. As has been observed in the beta, loot quantities overall are reduced in Shadowlands. Following the proclaimed "let loot be loot," we're entering into a world without Warforging and Titanforging, where getting an item from relevant content should feel rewarding on its own more often without needing to hope for random upgrades. Bonus rolls no longer exist, and the Great Vault, which replaces your weekly cash, captures the value they used to provide to raiders. Non-raiders should also factor in the Great Vault, as completing a Mythic Keystone plus 15 will award a choice of up to 3 item level 226 pieces from the Great Vault. Currently in the Shadowlands Beta / first tier of the expansion, PvP loot for top ratings caps out at item level 226. While outdoor world gameplay and professions offer a range of epic gear, the very strongest loot in WoW comes from the 3 organized multiplayer endgame progression paths: rated PvP, Mythic Keystone dungeons, and raiding. The design intent is for all 3 paths to provide parallel progression over the course of a tier, while providing players who engage in multiple paths at a comparable level a faster advancement experience. For example, we're currently targeting item level 213 for challenger level PvP, heroic raiding, or Mythic Keystone dungeons at +7 difficulty. Of course, there could be further adjustments to all of this in the weeks to come before Shadowlands launches. Okay, so what they're trying to say is that if you are doing challenger level PvP, heroic raiding, and Mythic Keystone dungeons at +7 difficulty, the items should be comparable. Now, that's only at the greater vault level, right? If you're doing, but maybe not, because if you're doing challenger level PvP at the end of an arena, you're not going to get a 213 item. You're going to get lower than that, right? This kind of makes sense to me. I feel like dungeons ultimately should be a stepping stone for raiding, because you can repeat the content over and over. Means that you'll get more of the loot, which means that you're going to cap out quicker. And if that's the case, you don't want to make it so that the stuff that has a lockout, which is heroic raiding, you don't want to make it so that that stuff is useless, right? Because if you got all your loot from Mythic Plus or PvP, then you wouldn't need to heroic raid more than once, right? So to give that incentive for the heroic raiding community, you want them to be able to continue raiding, and their cash will catch up to heroic whatever. So let's say 10 weeks down the line, you should be, if you just did Mythic Plus, your cash gear would equal the gear that you got from heroic raiding. So that all makes sense. I think this is a good change. I think this helps people to finish their characters faster, and I also think it helps people who want to level alts. And, you know, it's just filling up a bar is obviously better. I think everyone thinks that, right? Because if you could just do Mythic Plus over and over and over, it's the same carousel that we would have had back in BFA, when you had to keep doing islands, keep doing world quests, keep doing Mythic Plus. Like, you had to constantly do this shit so that your character was relevant. And I personally didn't like that. I think most people didn't like that. And I think this is good. I think when you do Mythic Plus, you don't get any rewards after a certain point that are an eye level upgrade. You still get them in heroic rating, which is good. And then at the end of the week, you still have to do 1 or 2, 3, whatever, how many you want to do Mythic Pluses to get a shot at an upgrade in the chest. I think this shit makes sense. Let me know what you think. Oh, post-recording Jim here. I forgot to mention that I'll be streaming a lot. So go check me out, twitch.tv/Jimfro.